Welcome to The Intuitive Therapist with Janis R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey, y'all. This is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist podcast. So happy you're with us today. I have a phenomenal young lady as my guest today, talking about something I feel like it really has been a hot topic for people in the last 10 years. For the most part, I think everybody really wants to be able to create their reality and feel more powerful in being able to do so. And connecting with the law of attraction and the ins and outs and kind of uncovering the elusiveness of it is really important for most people. I feel like that the movie The Secret really prompted the whole interest in what the law of attraction really is. And she's not only a beautiful young lady, but a very, very smart, gifted, and talented young lady named Gabriella Capobianco. And she and I connected excitingly through Facebook. I meet a lot of people through Facebook, and I'm just so happy to have her on my show. Welcome, Gabriella.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. We, you and I had a really nice conversation before we decided to do this, and I'm so excited for the listeners to learn more about this because the law of attraction and what you're going to talk about today is really how to unlock a life beyond your dreams. And before we get to that, I just want to tell a little bit about you. You're the creator of the brand Soul Getters. You're a spiritual business and lifestyle coach, spiritual teacher and speaker, and you help heart-centered individuals and entrepreneurs unlock their soul's calling to unleash their greatest gifts while transforming their reality into a life beyond their wildest dreams. And that sounds so amazing. I think everybody wants to tap into a life beyond their wildest dreams. And I know when, when people are plugged in and they're in that vibration of being plugged in, that creating their wildest dreams isn't so far off. So when we talk about the law of attraction and really how to unlock this life beyond your dreams, like I said, I think for so many people, this law of attraction thing is elusive. I think for most people, it feels like that's lovely, and I still can't figure out how to pay my bills. I say all these things to myself all the time, and my boyfriend or girlfriend is still sucky, and my job still sucks, and can't get myself out of debt. And no matter what I say, and very few people feel like it's kind of really effective. So I want us to talk about in terms of your expertise, your understanding of what the law of attraction is, the trip ups, the people, the common things that people do that really aren't working. And what are some of the keys to truly be in alignment, be in that flow, that vortex of connecting with manifesting? Yeah. So I'm so happy you're on the show today. And so I'm just going to go ahead and hand it over to you and just kind of start by telling us, how'd you get into all this?
Yeah. So definitely it's been a very interesting journey. So I probably had a little bit of a different upbringing than the typical person because I kind of came into this world open, meaning like I was seeing things, feeling things that I couldn't understand. My parents would say that I would wake up when I was probably like 1 year old at the same time every night, and I'd be pointing to the corner of the room, screaming, crying. So I was always aware of something more. And I remember it was before I was even in preschool, it was when I was in daycare. I remember I would always sit on the stairs before going, and my stomach would just be like a complete mess, which now I realize was probably anxiety or whatever it might have been. But I just remember as a little girl feeling all of these things and really not sure how to make sense of it all because, come to find out, like pretty much my entire family is very intuitive, as we all are. But at the time, nobody really knew what was happening.
Right.
My mom was always into Sylvia Brown, would read all of her books. So she kind of understood in a sense but she had never gone through what I was going through, and I didn't know how to make sense of it. So, yeah,
I get that. Trust me.
I lived a life filled with fear. I was so terrified to even, like, when I was little, I remember I'd make my mom sit on the toilet in the bathroom while I would shower because I was so afraid and I didn't know why. I was just fearful of everything.
Mm.
And luckily, I kind of found soccer as my outlet. And I played at a very elite level. And because I'm the type of person, when you get to know me, I'm either all in or all out. And so my whole like life was around soccer.
Yeah.
So it was kind of my outlet, my escape. I mean, things were still happening and they were just like intensifying more and more. However, I felt like I could kind of block it out with soccer, and it made me feel more, I guess normal, because I mean, now I realize that all of this intuitive stuff is really normal. But
Yes.
at the time, I just wanted to be a normal teenager. I didn't want to have to go through these things that nobody else understood.
I get
So,
it.
yeah, so it wasn't always easy. But I did find that even though I had this fear, I always was very connected because I did grow up Catholic and I grew up loving Jesus and God and angels, all that stuff. And so I prayed every night. And I think that really started my foundations
Hmm.
with all of this because I was always connected. So even though I was afraid, I did find that, like, thinking about it, like, even with the whole law of attraction, manifestation stuff, people would always say to me, like, oh, things just come so easily to you. How does all this stuff happen to you and not me? And I would think about it and I'm like, I don't really, like, I have no idea. Like, I didn't know what law of attraction even was until a few years ago.
And those
Uh,
are typical questions.
right.
So typical. Right.
Yeah, and I had no idea. I was like, I don't know. And people would get mad because they're like, everything happened or everything works out for you. Or I'm like, I don't know what I'm even doing. Like, so it was definitely interesting. And essentially, I had a lot of wake up calls. I had 4 knee surgeries as I was like preparing to play at an elite level in college. And finally, my doctor told me I can't play anymore soccer. So that kind of like turned my world upside down. And I mean, I was playing soccer 7 days a week. So it was like I lost my identity. And
Mm.
it was really like definitely a period of soul searching. But what was interesting for everybody listening was I was very sciencey. I was a pre-med major. Like,
Wow.
science was something like, and a lot of times you wouldn't think that because of the intuitive stuff, the right and the left brain. The left brain is definitely more the analytical side. So I was creative. I did love the arts, but I knew I wanted to help people. So for anybody who is kind of questioning because they are more that left side of the brain, it is all just science. And that's what interests me, is the fact that you can be kind of woo woo and fun and creative about it. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, it's just energy.
So how did you know that you were uh that really your gift was being able to help people manifest stuff? I mean, it's one thing to have what seems like things fall into your lap.
Mhm.
And that what an amazing experience to have that, especially as a young adult or a young kid, but to
Mhm.
really know that there really is like a science, as you speak of, behind it. And that
Mhm.
it sounds like what ended up happening with you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that as you grew into yourself, as you grew spiritually, um, you were able to kind of develop this system of how to tap into manifesting. And to me, I don't I kind of know how to explain how I do it, but
Mhm.
I would love for you at some point to share what your process is.
Yeah.
I guess I would assume that's what happened, just in terms of you
Mhm.
realizing that you're an expert in law of attraction.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, honestly, like, once I wasn't able to play soccer anymore and I was going into college lost, it all started with meditation.
Mm,
And that's really what opened it all up. And I mean, I was also like reading a ton and listening to a ton of different things. Like, I was absorbing so much information in certain things, like with anybody, certain things really resonated with me. And it was like, I always say, it's like our job is to provide people with information, but that information then within them opens up a door to like 10 other doors. So everything you're hearing, it's hitting something within you and
Mhm.
helping you to reawaken to
Mm.
that topic or inner knowing, because we all always know everything within. It's just kind of opening
Yes.
back up to it. So it was definitely trial and error, a lot of like learning. It was essentially like, even though I was going to school, and this was kind of like my school, like this is really what
It
interested me.
sure is. Yeah.
Right. So, I think I started with mediumship, and I think I started to see, started with mediumship. And for me, that's when I really started to learn, oh, like I'm manifesting things.
So,
So,
so when you say you connected with or you started with mediumship, do
mhm.
you does that mean that you as well are a medium?
Yes.
Okay,
So
cool. Got it.
that's kind of where
You
like,
had some experiences?
yes,
Okay,
that's like how it all started when I was younger, was
got
like
it.
loved ones and stuff like that. So that was definitely my
Yeah.
foundations. So that was where I started my business. And that's where I started to really learn the power of law of attraction, because I went through certain obstacles of like attracting just anyone rather than my soulmate clients. And so I learned like, oh wait, I can ask for clients that I want.
Mm.
I can call in clients, like different things like that. So it started with just trial and error of me literally sitting at my calendar every day and putting my hands on my calendar when I would have like 3 clients a week, and just envisioning what it would be like to open this calendar and seeing every day completely booked and feeling it. Because that's like very big, a very big part of the law of attraction is feeling. So anybody who is wondering where to even start to feel how amazing it would feel to have whatever it is you're desiring, because the universe isn't a person. The universe isn't going to see you. The universe is energy. So that's like the law of vibration, your vibes that you're giving off. If you're giving off positive vibes, the universe is so literal that the universe will think, oh, this person wants more positivity. But if
Right.
you're thinking like, my life is horrible, I'm stuck, nothing's ever going to get better, and we all have those moments, the universe doesn't want to hurt you, but the universe is so literal that then you will get more of those negative experiences.
Well, you make such a good point about how literal the universe is.
Hmm.
I talk with clients all the time about how you could say, and I've talked to my listeners on this podcast about, mantras mean nothing if you're not vibrationally aligned with them. So
Right.
you could say all day long, I manifest $1 million every day and everything comes easily and effortlessly.
Yeah.
And it means nothing if deep down or even right under the surface, you doubt it. And
Right.
so what you're talking about really, and I think it's Ariel Ford, she coined the feelingization. So,
Hmm.
so the visualization is hugely important to be able to see what is already there for you, but to feel it, to anchor it in your body
Hmm.
is and really have the experience of not only seeing, let's say, for example, the numbers in your bank account, but
Right.
feeling what it's like to spend that money, to save that money, to use that money, because of course all of that is energy too.
Right.
How do you counsel or guide a client who says, oh God, I really really want to do it and I really try to have this feeling of it, but I just don't believe it, or I just can't do it, and I just keep thinking that how my life is so hard.
Hmm.
It's because it is a challenge, because the
It is.
reality for a lot of people is that it's very difficult to imagine so easily and lean into it entirely that life will give you what you want, or
Right.
you'll be able to manifest, because the reality for so many people is that they lack, and they're in this desperate space of needing. So how do you advise a client who is conflicted, who really really wants to feel relief, who really really wants to lean into the vibration of manifestation, but
Hmm.
intellectually they just negate everything? What do you do?
Right. So this is something that is a little bit different for each individual person, but it's a lot about the limiting beliefs. And we
Okay.
all have those things. So essentially, limiting beliefs are beliefs like, I'll never be good enough. My parents struggled with money, therefore, how am I ever going to make money? I've never been able to lose weight before, therefore, losing weight's impossible, or it's
Or
not for
I've
me,
I've lost it and gained it back,
and
so
gained it back.
I can't maintain it.
Right. Exactly. So those essentially are limiting beliefs. And the thing is, some of these beliefs aren't even ours. And that's why
Hmm.
it is when you are working with the law of attraction, what I advise my clients to do is you need to pay attention to what you're listening to, the friends you're surrounding yourself with, because we don't realize, like we say the universe is literal, so is our subconscious. So our
Hmm.
subconscious is absorbing everything from you listening to the news, hearing how horrible everything is, all of your friends complaining about money or how much they hate their jobs. Like, it doesn't mean to cut these people off completely, but in order for you to heal, we do have to pay attention to these things because there's more to it than just our inner self. So that's definitely part of it. But really, we go into breaking down these limiting beliefs. And I loved how you said the affirmations, because I love affirmations. However, there's more to it. You can't just stare at yourself in the mirror
Right.
and be like, I am a multimillionaire. Okay,
Right.
well, first off, you're probably going to laugh at yourself and be like, yeah, right. Unless you're in a place, like you said, a vibrational frequency where maybe you're already a millionaire, but now you want to be a multimillionaire. But like, let's say it was weight, like I have lost 30 pounds and I feel so amazing. If you don't believe that, like if there's something within you that's like, yeah, right, it's not going to do you any good to just continue saying that mantra or affirmation. You need to now break it down. So that's a lot a lot of what I'll do with my clients when I'm working with the law of attraction is, okay, you're saying this, but what is your immediate reaction? And they'll say, like, well, how is that possible for me? Okay, well, where is that belief coming from? And we break it down a step further. And it's like, okay, well, when I was younger, my parents used to fight about money, or when I was in college, my professor told me if I go into this career, I'm never going to make any money. Like, we all have these like like I call them like seeds of doubt. They've been planted within us. And sometimes there's so many. So it is a process. It's kind of like peeling an onion. It's like you get one layer and then all of a sudden there's something else that comes up. You think you're good and then something else comes up. So, and that's just how life is. There's always going to be things that come up. However, it's how we're going to choose to now see it, our perspective of it. So we'll go into it and it's like, okay, well, maybe your professor told you you're never going to make any money, but look at all the successful people in this field. Or maybe, yeah, yep.
I wanted to just share something. I love what you're saying. It just it resonates so strongly with me. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was how people they have a difficult time imagining that what's divinely theirs, their
Mhm.
right to have, already exists.
Right.
For example, I remember for me, I experienced a number of years where I struggled in my practice,
Hmm.
absolutely a number of years. And I couldn't figure out how to get out from under myself. And I'm great at what I do. I know I affect positive change in my clients. Like I had all the stuff, but
Hmm.
I didn't know how to do my business and uh, to create it in such a way to really experience the pay for the value that I offered, so to speak. So
Hmm.
I found that once I just had a brain fade, so I totally forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, so once I realized that I had to start participating in my own manifestation. It's not
Hmm.
enough that you just have these ideas. It's not enough that you think about
Right.
these things, but the universe, because it's so literal,
Hmm.
responds to your invitation. It responds to your action. It partners with you. So you can't just half-assed say stuff and just go, oh yeah, here it is. No,
Right.
you've got to not only have the action of
Hmm.
feeling and thinking and believing, but there's also, majority of the time, there's a doing in it.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep, yep. So that's the law of action. There's actually 12 laws.
Universal laws, right.
Yes. Universal
Beautiful.
laws. And it's all physics. Like so much of this you probably like touched on if you took physics in high school or college. So
Oh,
so
no, I did not take physics. God bless me, could not have done that. Anyway, yes, the laws,
yeah,
the 12 universal
yes,
laws.
yes. So the law of action is important because I think it is in the secret. Like they talk a lot about the law of attraction, but to people who have never done it before, it might come off as, oh, okay, I can just sit on the couch all day,
Yeah.
every day, think about what I want. and then it's just going to show up. No. Like
So no.
right. Because we are on the physical plane, there's physical barriers.
Ah,
So there's different blocks, there's people. And that's like what I'll say about relationships. If you're trying to manifest a relationship, well, guess what? There's another person involved in this situation,
sure.
or clients. So like you have to get clear on what it is you're really wanting, but also reminding yourself too that sometimes they're not ready. Even though
Beautiful.
you're ready,
Beautiful.
sometimes they're not. So with the law of action, it's just more about starting to take aligned action is what I say. Because a lot of times we think we have to do these big drastic things like, oh my gosh, I need to leave my job if I want to start my own practice, or I need, like, we just think of all these big things that we have to do, and then that just overwhelms us, and then we end up doing none of it. So instead, I say aligned action could literally be something as small as I'm going to meditate today, or today I'm going to start a self-help book, or like whatever. It's what feels good to you and what resonates to you. Sometimes aligned action, honestly, is taking the day off. It's listening to what your body wants and how you can start to decipher that. Because a lot of people will say like, well, I don't know. What excites you? So even if, let's say, you're meeting with your friends and they're your best friends, you have the greatest time together, but today you're just not excited. It doesn't feel right. You're dreading it for whatever reason. You need to listen to yourself. And it all comes back to trusting. And that's why I love the law of attraction and manifesting, because it is believing in yourself. It's an empowering thing. And you need to honor yourself. Okay, well, maybe you're not feeling right about this today. You're not excited about it because there's going to be a car accident, or maybe it's just they're having an off day and you've been in a really like high vibing energy field, and that's going to kind of set you back. Like there's so many different reasons, but it's more of now trusting yourself. So that aligned action is, does this excite me? Or is my immediate reaction kind of like, ugh, I don't want to do this? Because if you're stuck in an action of I gotta work, you're just draining your energy.
Right.
So if you take the step back, it really helps to just observe for a minute. Does this resonate with me? Does this excite me? And that's the best way to go about it when you're first starting. Does this make me excited? Because I was working with a client even yesterday, and they're like, well, I've done all of these like MLM or network marketing businesses, and they've never worked for me. And because he's trying now to go into athletic training, and he was thinking about adding in some type of network marketing, like protein shakes or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, what did you do in the past? And we kind of talked about it. And I was like, did any of those things excite you? Were you passionate about those things? Or were you simply going after the fact of, well, maybe this could give me more money or bring me more money? And he said, like, yeah, none of those things really excited me. I wasn't passionate about those things. But this, he's now really passionate about. So that is a big part of it as well.
Yes.
You need to be passionate about it. You need to be excited about it. Because if you're not excited about it, why do you even want it? Like, what's the point? And also, you can't really lie to the universe about being passionate about something, because you're going to feel it within you. It's going to be like, yeah, okay, well, that'd be nice. So the universe is going to feel that. And like we said earlier, the universe is so literal. It's going to be like, well, you know what? Like, they're not really feeling this, so I'm going to give them more like blah feelings or okay feelings or life is mediocre type of thing. So it is, so much of this is about taking that aligned action towards those things that you're passionate about. And when you're passionate about it, it comes so much more easily, and it's not really work.
Yeah. You going with flow for sure. For sure. One of the things I want you to touch on, please, because this is something it's a topic for me with my clients. It's also something that I've touched on a lot in some of these podcast episodes. To really improve your life, meditation, it's really at the root of almost everything in terms of expanding your psychic and intuitive gifts, being able to manifest, being able to bring peace and calm into your life. Whatever it is that you want, that you feel like is in your best interest, meditation is like the end all be all. But here's what happens. This is my opinion. I'm just curious what you think about. It's hard for people to meditate, because they have this rigid view of what meditation is. And if they can't do this typical rigid view, which is to sit down and breathe and do all this stuff, and they can't stop their minds, then they failed before they've even started and they can't do it. And then you have people who are highly anxious or highly stressed, and the idea of meditating is just one more thing that annoys the hell out of them, because trying to be calm increases their agitation even more.
Mhm.
And I tell people a lot, and I'd love to hear what you tell your clients. Meditation isn't always sitting in a chair and
Right.
breathing. It could be you're washing the dishes, looking out the window and just checking out. It could be washing the laundry, or walking in nature. It could be listening to music. It could be looking at somebody you love,
Right.
touching them, hugging them, but intentional manifestation for sure is, let me find a space. Let me sit down or lay down, most times sit down, and start to breathe and connect with body. So
Mm-hmm.
can you speak to a little bit of that, about how you help your clients cultivate a meditation practice that maybe is easy or that works when maybe they're not in the best mind space to do that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I totally agree with you on all of that. People get stuck, I think, kind of in like the mainstream. You hear about like
You
Buddha and
can't
all that
quiet your
stuff.
mind. Like,
Right.
only
No.
like the gurus that have been doing this for 20, 30 years can really have quiet minds. I think that's such a myth.
Right. Yes, and I just went to I had a healing session the other day, and he was saying our right side of the brain is actually like 93% of our entire brain is right-sided,
Oh, wow.
where only 7% is the left. However, only about, he said, from what he's learned, only probably about like, I think it was 10,000 people in the entire world are fully in that right side. So the left is kind of the ego and all of that. So that's why meditation is important, because it's helping you start to connect. But that is kind of the myth around it, is your mind is never going to silence. Because so many of my
No.
clients, or even like friends and family, will say, I can't meditate because my mind is always going in a million directions. And I mean, I had the exact same issue.
Me
But
too.
the thing, yeah, I was always overthinking and worrying. And like I said, my whole life, so much of it was fear. So I just started with, like, I would set my timer on my phone for 1 minute. And I would just focus on breathing and envision white light flowing through me. And that's how I started it. But you can literally be doing that by just being in nature, because a lot of meditation essentially is just about being in the present moment. So
Mhm.
if you're walking on a path in nature, just try your best to focus on, oh, wow, look at those rocks and look at that bird. Like, just paying attention to that present moment. You could be doing that walking down the street. You could be doing that, like you said, washing the dishes. It's literally, once you can just get into that frequency, and I don't know, it's like alpha or beta, I don't know exactly the frequency on the top of my head, but when you get into that frequency, that's when things start to flow. So a lot of people will say, I get a lot of ideas when I'm in the shower, or I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I have all these ideas, but then I forget about it come morning, because that's when you're like more closely connected to that source or that higher energetic field, the universe, whatever you believe in. So that's when those ideas are going to come in, those desires, those manifestations,
Yeah,
all
and you know what? I'll just add a little bit to that. I love
that.
that you said that, because what happens is your left brain is distracted, so
Mm-hmm.
your right brain can receive. And
Exactly.
that's, so you're in the shower and you're scrubbing your head. If you have hair, you scrub your hair, wash your hair, do whatever you do in the shower. And so your left brain is occupied with a task, so your
Right.
right brain can receive. So,
Exactly. I
yeah,
love that, because it is so true. And that's like a simple way to start. Or I do suggest even starting with some guided meditations. I love
beautiful.
guided meditations, because then you have someone else's voice to follow along to, rather than, oh my gosh, am I doing this right? I can't envision colors. And oh my gosh, now this thought is coming up.
Yeah, right.
So it is easier, I at least believe, to start with some guided meditations. And there's so many. There's beginner meditations. I have a ton on my membership page. Like, there's so many different ways of going about it. And I mean, there's so many different types of meditation too. And I'm not really familiar with the different types, because I've just kind of done my own
Done your
thing,
own
I guess.
thing, right? Sure, 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 sure. Let me ask you this, Gabriella. What do you feel like, if there was one important thing
Mm-hmm.
for people to learn, to do, to be, whatever it is, to learn about how to really become a good manifester, not a master manifester yet, but to really, really use the law of attraction effectively?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you want them to know? What's the most important thing?
To me, I think the most important thing really is like taking control of your mind.
God, I can't do that all the time. That's a
No,
big
yeah,
job.
none
How
of
do you
us
do it?
can.
How do you do
Right.
that?
So it's more about bringing your awareness to your thoughts because we do get so stuck in thinking about all of the bad things that are going to happen. Because at the end of the day, we're afraid that if we're not expecting bad things to happen, something bad's going to happen and then we weren't prepared for it. So it's like I always used to say, like, I would rather expect something bad to happen. So then if it does happen, I'm prepared for it. And
Mm-hmm.
if it doesn't, well, great. That's a pleasant surprise. And that's the thing. Most of us in society are accustomed or programmed to thinking bad things are going to happen because a lot of times that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the bad things. And for some reason, when you think about it, like those bad things that happen to you in your life stand out a lot more than those good things that happened. So it really is starting to just catch yourself because, as we said before, so much of law of attraction is the energy you're giving off. So if you're constantly worrying about money, and that's a very common worry that we
Yeah,
all
very common.
have,
Very, very common.
then that's what you're going to get. So it's more of like when you're finding you're paying your bills immediately, like say something out
Like,
loud.
thank you. How about
Yeah,
thank you,
thank you.
God, for letting me write this check and pay this
Yeah,
bill? Right.
exactly. Like
Or
thank
writing a smiley face or thank you in the memo. So that when the
you.
person who sees the check, you're thanking them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I say, even if you can do it like writing a check or if you're working out, put a smile on your face because
Yeah.
it starts to change something within you. Like immediately, if you smile, it's like your shoulders lift up a little bit,
Yeah.
stand up straighter. And when you're down or like frowning, it's like it triggers your brain to kind of like make you slump
Sure,
or
you do your emotions for sure. I
right.
wanted to add something. I love what you said. Love it, love it, love it. So just to kind of piggyback, it's wherever your focus goes, energy flows.
Right.
So I call that the pivot. So most of us, when we're caught up in feeling poorly about our lives,
Mm-hmm.
discouraged, all that, the bottom line is that we're focusing, like you talked about, on lack, what we
Right.
don't have, what we feel like we're missing, what's not in our lives. And I always, I can't say I always tell people on the podcast, but I always tell people who are sitting in front of me because I work in a swivel chair, so I get to move because I have a hard time sitting still. But I'll pivot to the left and say, okay, on the left, here's everything that you're focusing on that you don't have, that you don't want, that you don't like, that you lack. And so I always encourage people, and I swivel to the right and I say, just look over here. This
Mm-hmm.
is all the stuff that you do. And the overarching theme of that is love. If
Right.
you can be in a space of love with an open heart
Mm-hmm.
and then connect with that about this beautiful new car you want
Right.
to the T, just being able to see it to a T, or how you want to feel as a human being, who you want to be, how fulfilled and passion filled, and all of that you want to be,
Mm-hmm.
um, and or whatever it is that you're working a job that you love with customers that are great and other people. If you shift over to the other side of
Mm-hmm.
only focusing on what you want
Right.
as your default, you're going to be able to lean in more to the law of attraction because where your focus goes, energy flows. And we just talked about the vibrational alignment. Whatever you align with your energy is what you get more of. It's literally
Right.
that simple, but it is one of the hardest things for people to do, to catch themselves, to do that pivot. I'm sure you talk about this with people all the time, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
piggyback on your really, really smart comment about that and just really encourage people to pivot immediately when you're not feeling what you want to feel. Pivot. Focus
Mhm.
on focus on doing something that allows you to feel what you want. If you're
Right.
not happy with something in your life, pivot to the right or pivot to the opposite side and say, okay, what do I need to do right now to align myself with the feeling that what I want is already here? What do
Mhm.
I need to do? What action do I need to take? Remember, like Gabriella said, the universe is literal, so it takes you at your vibration, not at your word, but at your vibration. So whatever you resonate with is what you call in. And I think really that's kind of like the secret. So I love that you said the universe is literal. It's just that's really really cool. So I want to give people your contact information, just if they want to get some more guidance and uh,
Yeah.
coaching from you about the law of attraction, how to do some work with you. If you could just share some information also about your website, how to contact you, but also how they can find your podcast called Soul Getters.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap it up, like the law of attraction, as you guys can tell, is something that is much more in depth than we actually think. Like it's not literally just, I want this.
Yes.
No. First, just to leave you guys with, always say, instead of I want or I have, say thank you for providing me with blank. Because
Beautiful.
please is more like a vibrational begging. I want is kind of greedy. So saying thank you for is trusting that it's already here. And also, like you said, the pivot. You can also, when you pivot, start to be thankful for the things you already have. Okay, well, maybe I don't like my job, but I'm thankful it's allowing me to pay my bills.
Gratitude.
Right. So gratitude. And then lastly, you can also be doing scripting, which is super fun and it's easy because it starts to get you more excited and upbeat.
What is that?
So
tell people about that. What's scripting?
Yes. So essentially, it's like at nighttime, you would get your journal out and you would write your day as if everything you've been desiring is here. So that's a good way to start to break through some of those blocks because it is, like I said, it's peeling an onion. There's layers of like.
So you write the next day or the day that you already had?
So at nighttime, you would write as if you had the perfect day. So you probably didn't already have it yet, but let's say you're wanting a new job. Today was so amazing. I just got hired as a whatever, and my salary is now this, and I'm so thankful because I'm going to be able to do all these things with this money and blah, 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 blah. And you want to get very like literal, like what do you do during the day? And for lunch, I had this. Like you want it to be so literal because then you start to feel it. And just by writing it, you get more excited. And if you do that every day, and you can change it up every day, it doesn't need to be the exact same thing, but change it up a little bit. And it is exciting and it lifts your mood and it helps you to feel better, which once again is going to put you in that positive frequency, which will bring you more positive experiences. So that's something simple that we can all do, or vision boards. And vision boards are something people are more familiar with, taking some pictures, putting them on a board and standing in front of it every single day. And sometimes you might not be fully aware of what it is that you really want. So start with basic things like I want to be happy. I want more financial abundance. I want to travel more, like whatever it is. Take pictures or words of those things or things that inspire you. And then from there, now it's like you're getting to another level where it's like, okay, well, now that I have some more clarity, I'm open to being happier or more abundant. Now I see that maybe I would like a new job or a raise of $20,000, whatever. So it definitely is like a step-by-step. Start with those small things that are fun because the more fun we have, the more it's raising our vibrations.
Y'all, I love this girl. Seriously, I love this conversation. You clearly know what you're talking about. You have so much to offer, and I can just tell that you really help your clients, and y'all got to reach out to her. If you want to up-level your life in terms of manifestation, this woman is the go-to. So, so Gabriella, tell us how to reach you. What do we do?
Yes. So my website is probably the best place because then you can contact me at www.soulgetters.com.
Spell that for everybody.
SOULGETTERS.com. So literally like go-getters, but soul getters.
Beautiful.
And same on Instagram, it's just at soul getters. So I'm pretty active on Instagram. That's kind of my favorite place. And I also do have a private Facebook group, Ambitious Soul Getters. So if you're on Facebook, you can join me there. I do a lot of Facebook Lives. We just have a lot of fun in that group. It's a safe place to post things you're struggling with or wanting guidance with. And same with my podcast. My podcast is literally like just Soul Getters again. And it's on
iTunes?
iTunes and Podbean right now. So
beautiful.
Those are like how you can access me. My podcast episode today is going to be a question and answer. So that's going to be fun. It'll be uploaded a little later today. So today is the 8th. So for anybody listening, it'll probably be a little bit later. But that one's going to be fun because it's just questions that you all have that I'm going to help guide you through.
Love it.
That's probably the best ways.
so very happy to have you on, y'all. I hope you. Oh, fantastic! I hope this is a great beginning to understanding the law of attraction. And my whole point, Gabriella, was to try to demystify this as much as
Mhm.
possible. And it sounds like, just with some of our conversation, we've
Mhm.
been able to do that.
Yeah.
Your really concrete suggestions, I know for me, uh, helped put some language to all these kind of this ethereal
Mhm.
concept of manifestation. So I thank you so very much for being on my podcast today. And y'all, that little ding that y'all were hearing like 3 or 4 times, I don't know how to shut the audio off Facebook notifications. So that's what y'all were hearing. So I'm sorry about that. I'll try to fix that next time. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you, Gabriella, just for being the beautiful young lady that you are and sharing your wisdom. I know that you are helping a lot of people be able to focus on the good stuff and really
Mhm.
maximize their quality of life. And so
Yes.
happy that you're on with us.
Thank you so much for having
Yeah,
me.
yeah. And I always tell the listeners, if y'all feel like today's been helpful or you feel like you benefited from the podcast, please go ahead and hop on iTunes and rate and review the podcast. Also, go visit Gabriella's page. Do you have an opt-in for them, a free gift or something that they can register, give in your email?
Yep, I'm giving
Great.
email. I will be giving out manifestation meditation. So
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Y'all hop
Mhm.
over there and get that. And as always, I wish every listener a blessed day, a wonderful week, and always live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist with Janis R. Cohen. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend and subscribe, rate, and review at iTunes.